What's up guys, Dragonheir here, and today I have the final push for the Fey Meander, the part 2 video for you. And this time I will start on stage 267 and go all the way to stage 300. But unfortunately, I'm not using 100% free-to-play teams, I'll be honest. I'm using all the heroes that I have on my account to achieve it. And I'm using 4 or 5 different teams depending on what I'm facing and what I need. So let's go right into it.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go.
Alright guys, so let's start with the stage 267. So in here you are facing the 3 Dragonheirs and 2 lizards. And it's very difficult stage because they put, healing reversal on you, they do a lot of damage. So what I start using are my summoners. As you see, I'm using Rippercast, I'm using Utior, Zadok, Isitarian and Premsta. I'm using 2 legendary heroes that are not free to play or free to get. I know it's very difficult, it's not the easiest team to build. What I'm doing here, I'm focusing on Utior, on his resurrection and defense up to on all your heroes for 10 seconds. He was a free legendary hero from season 1, the continental boss challenges, I think. And he's amazing because the resurrection. He puts resurrection on all your heroes for 10 seconds, as you saw here on my Zadok, he got revived. And he resurrects all of your heroes with 75% HP. So that's busted, that's amazing guys. And then Rippercast for all the debuffs and recharging ultimate. So very good team, you have some survivability, you have a lot of damage. And even then, the stage was kind of difficult. You see, I had to do it like 2 or 3 times to achieve it. But, relatively simple team to build. Another team that I started using was on stage 269, and I started using my Frost team. And in here I'm using Lucian, Felocia, Gillian, Rava and Vidimir. And what I'm doing here is I'm using Lucian to jump to the backline, put the recharging speed penalty on the enemies, then I'm using Rava for the debuff and Vidimir for the damage. And this stage is very difficult because on the enemy team there is El Celebri and she's amazing guys. She does so much. She puts the recovery over time, defense up to on all allies, and then she inflicts charms on all enemies. Which is why I'm using Felocia, because she grants the control immunity, right? So every time I see the El Celebri, she's always almost at the casting point. I'm using Felocia, right, to put the shield and the recharging, the control immunity. As I mentioned, Lucian, amazing hero, all on his ultimate, the recharging speed, and then, he hits everybody in the star shape. So very good hero, he forced them to cluster around him. And then I'm just slowly killing the team. I wasn't able to one-shot this team. So I was doing, I was focusing more on survivability and slowly killing the team. So I'm still using Lucian, jumping to the backline, putting recharging speed, and then Rava and then Vidimir for the damage. Gillian for the healing and defense up to, and then Felocia for the control, immunity, the damage reduction on her ultimate, and also the shielding. So this team, not the fastest team, but it has a lot of survivability and is slowly killing the opponents, right? So very good team, especially for this stage, the stage 269, where you're facing El Celebri, 2 Voreshis and then 2 Rankers. I can't remember his name. The guy from the story, right? He is amazing as well. He has immortality on him and stuff like that. Very tanky unit. But El Celebri is the main unit you need to kill in here, or you need to focus on in this team. That's why I'm using the Frost team, and also I'm using the Felocia, mainly Felocia for this. As you see, slowly killing it, slowly. It wasn't a speed run. It took like 2 minutes. It took me like 2 or 3 trials to do this, but not that hard stage once you figure out what you need in here. So if you cannot one-shot it, focus more on survivability, someone who can put the control immunity especially on you because of the El Celebri and her ultimate. So another variation of the Summoners team is this one that I use for stage 271, because here you're facing 3 Sagomirs. They are very disgusting because they jump on your highest attack champion and do taunt, and do a lot of damage. So in here I'm using Thorin instead of Isitarian, and then instead of Zadok I start using Ledalia. Because Ledalia together with Premsta, that's insane good combination. Like, these 2 sisters, they do so much damage guys together. Because Ledalia, on her battle skills, she jumps, she does like these assassinations and do damage around the enemy, and she can reposition. And during this repositioning, she can cast her ultimate, as you saw. And then on her ultimate, she summoned this demon. And every time she summons the demon, that's amazing for Premsta, because then Premsta can do a lot of damage, because she does damage on her ultimate around all these summon units, right? And it's derivative damage. So the more summon units on the field, the better it is for Premsta, because then she will do way more damage. And this team has all of it. This team has survivability, this team has tankiness, and this team has a lot of damage. You know, so Reapercast, he can tank a lot, especially if you have someone who can heal him or if the enemy team have a lot of healing. Because if enemy heals, he heals as well. Then you have UTR for the defense up to and the resurrection. You have Thorin for healing and invisibility. And then you have Ladalia together with Premsta for a lot of damage. So very good team for these stages when you need everything, right? When you need survivability, you need damage, and you need some tankiness. Unfortunately, this team is lacking is buff prohibition. You know, for the stages when the enemy team have a lot of buffing, you cannot use this one because you need some buff prohibition sometimes. And now for the boss team, I'm using my Vortex team, where I'm using the all three Ice Blast heroes, the Shinnach, Zarok, and Berdila. Very good combination. These three heroes are insanely good for boss content. They are one-shotting bosses everywhere. The Curse Dungeon, the Rot Dungeon, you know, Ancient Battlefield, Phoenix, everywhere. Ice Blast heroes are insanely good. Vortex, you can use them everywhere, almost everywhere for the boss. The only dungeon that's not good for them is the Venom dungeon, because there is a lot of wisps and they are not doing that much AoE damage. But for the boss content, as you see, 40 seconds, done. I just pair these Ice Blast heroes with Felocia and Asilia and I'm safe. I will show the builds later on, don't worry. Another variation for the summoner team is this one, for the stage 283. A sub Utior for Zalarak, this epic hero. And then, instead of Thorin, I was using Adolphus for a lot of shielding and healing. And Zalarak is amazing because he can put fear, which means the enemies are not able to do anything. Not even basic attacks, not battle skill, not ultimates, nothing. So he's amazing for the crowd control. And then Adolphus, he does a lot of shielding and he boosts your ultimate energy. So all you need here is, you know, your Adolphus to boost your Reapercast, and then your Reapercast can do a lot of stuff. You know, he can put a lot of debuffs, he can reduce the ultimate energy of the enemies and stuff like that. And then Ledalia together with Premsta, incredible combo. You know, a lot of damage. So this is another variation for summoners teams, when you don't need to do, you know, Utior for the resurrection, stuff like that, and you focus more on the crowd control. For Zaltor is really good for this. And then one more variation is Utior together with Adolphus. And I'll start using this team against this one, the Ignite team. And in here, I'm focusing on Garika, because she is really annoying on her ultimate. She has 75% chance to dispel one of your buffs, and 75% chance to put the buff prohibition on you. And she can also reduce your ultimate energy. So what I'm doing here is I'm focusing on her, and I'm focusing on using my Utior before the enemy team does AoE, so he can resurrect all my heroes. But even then, it's really annoying because Garika can sometimes steal this resurrection, which happened on my Premsta. The buff, you know, the resurrection buff was stolen from her, and she's not able to revive. She's not reviving, right? But this team is really good. In here, I'm focusing on the front line. You know, I'm focusing on Garika, Ascetius, and the Lizard. I'm leaving the backline alone. I tried to focus on the backline. It didn't work because then the front line killed me. The Garika with Ascetius killed me. So I was like, okay, I have to change my priorities, right? So I was focusing more on front line, kill the front line, use the resurrection, you know, for the survivability, and then slowly, you know, progress to the backline and then kill the backline. So that's what I was doing. And now, as you see, it's 3-on-2, and I'm fine because I have a lot of survivability in here. You know, Utior with the resurrection and the defense up to, and then Adolphus with a lot of shielding, and then Reapercast can do some damage as well. So we're fine, even when it's like this. We are literally fine. We have 8 minutes to do this stage. Nothing crazy. It just takes time right now. As you see, we're slowly killing them. We have a lot of healing, a lot of shielding. We're fine. We just need a time, right? And Reapercast is good. He can do some damage. Like, he's not bad when it comes to damaging. Not only tankiness, but damage as well on this hero. Really good hero for the Fey Meander. Actually, one of my, I would say my favorite hero for Fey Meander, because of his versatility. Like, he does so much for you. He has 6 debuffs on his ultimate, and he does 3 hits, and he puts random 3 debuffs from this pool of 6 debuffs on the enemies. Very good hero. And now for the final one. The final team for stage 291 is another disgusting enemy team. There are 2 El Celebris, 2 Voreshis, and then 2 of these epic heroes that can charm you. So in here I'm using Lucian once again, you know, putting the recharging speed penalty on the enemy, forcing them to cluster around him at the backline. Then I'm using Rava for the debuff, you know, the frost debuff, defense penalty, and then Vladimir for a lot of damage. And I have a lot of survivability in this team as well. I have Gillian, who can do healing and defense up to. I have Felocia, who can do shielding and damage reduction as well. And now, all I need to do is just force the enemy team to cluster around Lucian, and we are fine. You know, Lucian, recharging speed penalty, Rava, debuff, and Vladimir damage. And I'm just rinse and repeat this until the enemy team is dead. All you need to focus here is the SL Breeze. You don't want them to cast before your Felocia. You always want your Felocia ultimate to be up. It happened here. I was lucky, I resisted a lot of these charms. But you don't want that to happen. You always want to save your Felocia before a Celebrity cast, right? So she cannot charm you. So there was a little bit of mistake, but I was fine. Because I have a lot of survivability in here. You know, the shielding and the defense up too. But you don't want that to happen. You know, you don't want your team to be charmed and then you kind of kill your own team. So I would say focus here on the Frost teams probably. And start to use like recharging speed. Maybe you can use Voresh for the buff prohibition. But Lucian is really good because he will force the enemy team to cluster around him. And then you're fine. You will do a lot of damage. And you just need some survivability. So very good team for this stage. And last team is stage 300, the boss team once again, the Vortex team. I just changed the positioning a little bit. I'm positioning everybody around my Asilia because I'm using the King Horns or something like that, the mythical artifact. And that one, it boosts the damage every time she heals. But on her battle skill, she only heals around herself, the star shape that I did with my heroes. And that's what I want. I want her to heal a lot so we can do as much damage as possible and one-shot the boss before the boss kills us. And Nice Blast heroes are amazing for this. Like, that's my favorite school for Season 2. As you see here, it's what, 30 seconds in and the boss is almost dead. My Zarok died, but we are still fine. We are fine. We just need Beldila with Shinnok and we are fine. Once Beldila cast, the boss will die. Come on. You see 700? And now that. Like, Beldila is amazing. Beldila can do so much damage. Like, if you have Ice Blast heroes, definitely use them for these boss stages. And that's how I reach position 27 for the Fey Meander, for the speed run. I could have done a little bit faster, but I was focusing more on free-to-play teams early on. That's why I'm on position 27 and not higher. But even then, it wasn't the easiest thing to do. And now, let me show you how I have these champions built. Alright, so let me start with the summoner team, the first variation. I will not focus on the Zadok, I will focus on the team with Ledalia. So let me start with Replikas. So I have my Replikas with the Thunder Tenacity to boost his ultimate energy as much as possible. You know, every time he gets hit, he boosts his ultimate energy. And for the mythical gear, I'm using the, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's each time the Weaver successfully inflicts a debuff, performs 2% max HP self-healing. So this way it boosts his healing because he has a lot of debuffs on his ultimate. And now I have him built with 80k HP, 4.2k defense, and 350 accuracy, and I'm using the Witch Remains on him. And he's really good because of his ultimate. As you see here, there is a pool of 5 debuffs, and he does 3 hits on his ultimate. And each hit has 35% scroll to 50% chance of reducing their ultimate energy by 20%, and he has 100% chance of inflicting 1 random debuff for 10 seconds from this pool, right? So he has 5 debuffs, and he puts 3 debuffs on the enemy team, and it's random. So that's why sometimes you need a little bit of RNG and you need to do this stage, you know, 2 or 3 attempts to finish the stage. It really depends on what he puts on the enemy. Because sometimes you need the buff prohibition, sometimes you need the speed penalty, the recharging speed penalty or attack penalty. So it really depends on what kind of debuffs he plays on the enemy. So that's why there is a little bit of RNG. So that's Replikas, very good hero. Now, Thorin. I have my Thorin with almost 70k HP and then 222 enlightenment and 328 defense. And he won a lot of HP and a lot of defense because of his battle skill or his passive. So he plays the mark on the first ally in front of him and gives him 20% of his max HP and his defense. So that's why you want to build your Thorin with some HP and defense, because that way he boosts my Replica's survivability because of this passive. Now for the gear, I'm using the Ancestral Protection, gives him HP, defense, and decreases the Weaver damage taken by 10%, while 15% of other allies' damage taken is transferred to him. So this is how he boosts my survivability. And I want Enlightenment for the healing, and for that I'm using the Mirror of the Living to boost this healing even more. If you want, you can use the Solar King Horns, that I'm using on my Asilia for the Vortex or for the boss teams. Or you can use some other boosting artifacts. But Mirror of the Living is probably one of the best artifacts for Torrent. Now for my Utyr, I have him built with 60k HP, 1.7k defense, and almost 400 accuracy. I'm using the Hourglass because I want him to cast as much as possible, which is why I have 45 skill haste as well. And I'm using the Puppet Inspiration because when the Weaver casts an ultimate skill, allies of the same element gain 10% ultimate energy, and this can trigger once every 15 seconds. And this is really good because he has a lot of skill haste, especially with the Hourglass, so he will be casting a lot. And you want him to cast a lot because of the Resurrection and the defense up too, right? So you always want the Resurrection to be up, kinda. Or you want him to like hold the ultimate sometimes, but you always want the ultimate to be up. So that's why I'm focusing on a lot of skill haste. Also, for the mythical gear, I'm using the Monolith Teardrop. So when the Weaver HP drops to 0, gains immortality for 3 seconds and 15% damage reduction for 10 seconds. So this is how I'm preventing him from dying sometimes, you know. You want him to survive for the, resurrection. And he puts the resurrection on himself as well. So very, very good hero. You know, you can kind of cheese the waves with him because then your team can die and they will resurrect with 75% HP. Very, very busted, I would say. Now, for Ledalia, I have a build with 55k HP, 4.5k, almost 4.5k defense, and then 3.6k attack, 118% crit rate, a little bit more than I want, but it's fine, and then 228 crit damage. And I'm using the Forbidden Aegis on her for the attack, crit rate, and when casting a battle skill or ultimate skill, the Weaver deals 6% more damage for 10 seconds. And this is very good because sometimes you want to use your ultimate when she does the battle skill. So on a battle skill, she jumps and do assassination. So she jumps to the target with the lowest HP and briefly teleports to their position, right? And then do AoE damage around it. And even like when she teleports, you can use her ultimate. So she will do her battle skill, and then immediately after battle skill, you can use the ultimate sometimes. So that's why you can play with the position of your ultimate. You know, the ultimate is a straight line, the 3,000 wide straight line. But because of the teleportation, you can sometimes achieve a different directions, right? So very, very good hero. And if you pair her with with Premsta, it's amazing because on ultimate, she summons a demon, right? So that way, you can use Premsta to do more damage around all these summon units, right? So this combination, Ledalia and Premsta, is very, very good. Now Premsta, she's built with 55k HP, 5.7k attack, 169 enlightenment. And I'm using the Inventor's Inspiration, the new set for Season 2. Gives me 20% attack, 30 enlightenment, and increased derivative damage dealt by the Weaver by 20%. So very good for her because she does a lot of derivative damage on the ultimate. And then for the mythical gear, I'm using the Strike the Unprepared. The Weaver does 3% increased damage to enemies under defense penalty. This is amazing on Premsta because you want to put the defense penalty from the Witch Remains on the Reaper cast, and that way Premsta can do even more damage. And the more summon units on the field, the better it is because Premsta will do her damage around all the summon units when she uses the ultimate. So that's why if you pair Ledalia with Premsta, it's amazing combo. So that was the summoning team. Now let me show you the ice team that I was using for the Fey Meander. So for the first team, I was using Lucian, Felicia, Gillian, Vidimir, and Rava. So let me start with Lucian. I have him built with 83k HP, 2.2k defense, 303 accuracy. And I'm using the Hourglass on him because I want him to cast as soon as possible. He's the first unit to cast on the field. And for that, I'm using the Puppet Inspiration for the accuracy resistance. And when the Weaver casts an ultimate skill, allies of the same element gain 10% ultimate energy. So this is the best for him because he will cast the first and then he will boost the ultimate energy of my whole team, right? So very good unit. And on his ultimate, as I saw and I told you, he has the recharging speed penalty for 10 seconds in this star shape. And that's why I'm using him, because he will jump to the back line, and then everybody will still focus on him, and they will group, and then my Rava can do her damage, right? Or her debuff, her frost debuff and the defense penalty debuff. So let me show you how my Rava build. I have a build with 49k HP, 1.6k defense, 3.8k attack, and 335 accuracy. I'm using the Witch Remains, and I'm using the Season 2 gear, the Emissary Whisper. Gives me accuracy, skill haste, and when the Weaver successfully inflicts a debuff, all allies deal 10% more damage for 10 seconds. So she will boost my team damage. Very good. And then for the mythical gear, I'm using the Imperial Oath, another new gear for Season 2. When the Weaver successfully inflicts a control effect, if the target is already under a negative effect, reduce their ultimate energy by 10%. This is amazing because Rava, on her ultimate, she summoned a vortex that does damage and debuffs continuously, right? So sometimes she will put the frost debuff and the defense penalty after, right? So this way she will reduce their ultimate energy. So very, very good gear for Rava, or for some of your debuffers that do not single instance of damage, but multiple instances of damage, which means multiple instances of debuffing, right? So very, very good hero. A very good artifact for these type of heroes. Now, Felocia, she has 65k HP, 2.8k defense, 253 enlightenment. I'm using the Devote Prey on her. When the Weaver grants a shield, the target deals 12% more damage for 10 seconds. So there's another boosting to my damage. And then I'm using Brotherhood Spirit as well on her, because when the Weaver casts an ultimate skill, all allies' elemental damage increase by 15%. So whenever she casts her ultimate, she grants 15%, elemental damage, and also 10% or 12% more damage because she shields everyone on the field. This is amazing. This is amazing build for shielders. And then for the artifact, I'm using the Aurelian Vest. Shield grants by the Weaver to an ally also reduce the damage down to the ally by 17.5%. So she's amazing. This is 75% reduced damage. And also in her ultimate, she does damage reduction as well, 30%. If this stacks, and I think it does stack, it's insanely good. Like, this boosts your survivability by a crazy amount. Like, very, very good hero. Now, Gillian. My Gillian has 80k HP, 255 enlightenment, and 2.7k defense. I'm using the Ancestor Protection. Once again, decrease the Weaver damage taken by 10%, while 15% of other allies' damage taken is transferred to her. This is amazing, together with Felocia, stuff like that. You will not even take that much damage, and the damage they will take, it will be even transferred to her, which is amazing. And then I'm using the Mirror of the Living. So it's pretty much the same build that I'm using for Thorin, right? For these healers. I want them to, absorb some of the damage and do a lot of healing. And now my DPS, Vidimir, he has 50k HP, 4.2k attack, 86 crit rate. I wish it's 100%, but I'm not able to achieve 100% crit rate while keeping the crit damage at 251%. So that's why I'm like, giving up on 100% crit rate, but I want a lot of crit damage. And it works. Sometimes you need to do the stage, 2 or 3 attempts, because you don't crit. You get really unlucky sometimes. But usually he will crit. 86% or almost 87% crit rate is not that bad. And for the gear, I'm using the Forbidden Aegis, and I'm using the Whisper of the Consumer. He can execute enemies under 10% HP. Very, very good artifact. And it gives you 80% crit damage. So it boosts your crit damage by a lot. So that was the Frost team. And for the boss team, let me show you the boss team real quick. This is my Vortex team. Where is it? Vortex in here. And this is my Vortex team. And this team is insanely good, guys. This team is really, really good for the bosses, for the single bosses. So I'm using Asilia, I'm using Shinnach, I'm using Felocia, Berdila, and Zorak. So all 3 legendary Ice Blast heroes, and then Asilia and Felocia. Felocia is built the same as I showed you before. Now, let me show you Asilia. I have a build with 104k HP, 3.1k defense, and 243 enlightenment. I'm using the Ancestor Protection on her, and I'm using the Solar King Horn. It boosts my damage by 4.5% for 10 seconds up to 3 stacks whenever she heals. And as you see here, the battle skill, she only heals around herself, the star shape, which is why I'm placing my heroes around her. On her ultimate, she heals the whole map and she puts the debuff immunity. But on her battle skill, she only heals around herself, which is why I'm placing my heroes like this. And now, let me show you Zorak. He has 51k HP, almost 52k HP, 5.3k attack, a 58% crit rate, some crit damage as well, but I'm mostly focusing on attack because I'm using the Dawnpipe Organ on him. It boosts my range hero's attack by 10% of his attack, right? So he will boost my Shinnach attack. And I'm using the Fearless Challenger on him. The Weaver deals 16% increased damage to enemies with max HP higher than the hero by 50%. Very good against bosses. Then I'm using the 2 pieces of the Forbidden Aegis for the attack percentage and some crit rate. And then I'm using the Strike the Unprepared when the Weaver deals 30% increased damage to enemies under defense penalty, which you will get from Shinnach, because I have my Shinnach build for accuracy. So I have almost 48k HP, 2k defense or 2.1k defense almost, 4.5k attack, and then I have 343 accuracy. And I'm using the Witch Remains on her to push the defense penalty. I'm using the Emissary Whisper, gives me accuracy, skill haste, and when I'm successfully inflict a debuff, all eyes deal 10% more damage. And then I'm using the Magic Crystal Refinement artifact, the Mythical Gear. So the Weaver gains additional attack equal to 300% of the current accuracy. So that's why I'm focusing on accuracy, but the accuracy gives me some attack as well. So you want attack, you want a lot of attack on Shinnok, but for this one, you want some accuracy as well to learn the defense penalty. And then last hero, Baldila, she has 60k HP, 1500 defense, 5.7k attack, 95% crit rate. This is fine because Zorak will gives you 30% crit rate. You're fine. You will get a lot of crit rate, don't worry. And then 211% crit damage. I'm using the Forbidden Edges on her, and for the artifact, I don't have an exclusive artifact. I'm still waiting for the second summoning for her. It's gonna be in like 2 or 3 weeks. So right now I'm using the Matico statue on her because it gives me attack percentage. When the Weaver Battle skill gains 20% damage bonus. And most of her damage comes from the Battle skill, the Runway Storm. So I can't wait for the exclusive artifact because the exclusive artifact boosts this Battle skill a lot. So I'm really excited for this one. So this is my this is my boss team. And that's pretty much it, guys. So all the free teams or the variation of the free teams I'm using really depends on who you're facing and what you can do. If you can one-shot the team, you can one-shot the team, use a lot of damage. If you cannot, focus on buff prohibition, focus on survivability like healing, damage reduction, shielding, stuff like that. Attack penalty on the enemies. A lot of different teams or different strategies can be used. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Those are my teams for the Fey Meander, the final push. I hope you found this video helpful, entertaining. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know down below in the comment section how far are you in the Fey Meander. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!